Well, I'm going to play a little game with you guys, which is like so un-Josh to do. As I was thinking about this, I was like, what a not Josh thing to do, right? We're going to play a little game of Would You Rather. I don't know if you've heard of this. All the kids are playing it these days. That's my dad joke. I have 4 kids, so I like to make dad jokes. You don't have to laugh. I will laugh either way. But here's the thing. I feel like I'm actually doing a free training here in a couple of weeks on how to crush your fears. I feel like fears are the thing that paralyze us, they cripple us, they hold us back, they have us, in my opinion, using more time than what we really need. I just noticed like JJ Star is having her own like in-person retreat over there. Like there's like 4 of you. I love it. I like looked over there, just saw a whole group. I was like, that's cute. Somebody's like mom and dad and aunt and uncle. I was like, nope, that's a whole team. I didn't mean that because you guys look old. It's just that on that one screen, I just see 4 people sitting around. Just like I just saw 4 people sitting around the couch. I assumed it was just like a whole family, like hanging out, listening to the like, hey guys, Josh is speaking this morning. Like, get the whole family. Anyways, our fears make us work harder than what we really have to. And what happens when we work harder than what we really have to is we get basically to payday and we get paid less than what we think we actually earned. Now, there's a difference between getting paid less than what we feel we deserve and less than what we feel we earn. I think that somewhere in our belief system, unfortunately, a lot of times we don't really believe we're worth more. But how many of you have had a conversation with a boyfriend or a husband or a friend or whoever about how many hours you work for the amount of money you make? Anybody? Let's be honest. Let's be honest. And if you're still to the point where you're not making as much money as you'd like to be making yet, that conversation doesn't usually go very well. I always say that if you go get a regular job, the money is guaranteed. So like maybe like, let's say this is 0, this is 10, the money, you know exactly what you're going to get, but it's basically just going to be that for the rest of your fucking life with some ups here and there. But being an entrepreneur is more like starting out at 0 and it just hangs like this for a while. But once it starts to peak, like boom, like sky is the limit. It can peak forever. That's what makes being an entrepreneur so hard is there's no guaranteed money at the beginning. You have to have faith and you have to have trust that that curve is going to come and that me and Bailey aren't lying and making shit up just to keep you around. And that can be a tough mind game to play. I've been there. I had to play that game for my first couple of years. And so today what I want to do is help you to basically play this the way that I have, okay? And the way that I have played with my mindset is understanding like there are good that can happen, there's bad that can happen, okay? And this is how I coach my one-on-one clients when they're worried about something, because this is what I've used on myself a million times to help me push through fear. And I don't even really want to say push through fear. I want to say release fear, because I think that releasing fear is actually more important than pushing through fear. I think that pushing through fear, again, a lot of work, a lot of energy. It's exhausting. And then when you get to the end of the week, it feels like you worked 40 hours, even if you only worked like 15 or 20. How many of you sometimes like your side hustle as a Beachbody coach feels more exhausting than your day job? Like sometimes you're just like, mentally, it's so much energy to constantly answer these questions that your brain has. How many of you have some of these questions? Am I good enough? Anybody ever had that question? Am I, and by the way, with that question, we can add like 34 other words to it. Like for instance, am I good enough to coach people? Am I good enough to lead people? Am I good enough? My God, social media. Am I good enough to grow my social media? Like all of these questions start to come up, right? And so the thing is, if I can find a way to release my fear instead of pushing through. And I do think that sometimes we have, and I don't want to say this is always unhealthy. I've had to do this sometimes, okay? But I think sometimes if we're not careful, we get this idea that like, regardless of how you feel, you're just supposed to push through it, crush it, knock it out. Like we do use a lot of those words. And I've tried this year to kind of like scale back on how many of those words that I use to create a more balanced approach to what my business and my life and my mindset actually looks like. Because sometimes to help motivate people, I'm like, push through, show up, shut the fuck up and just do it. And what I've tried to do this year is kind of like realize sometimes that sends a bad message that feelings don't even matter and that you should be able to just do shit no matter how you feel. And because of 2020 and all of the mental health issues that I dealt with myself and then realized the world was dealing with, I said, we got to kind of like bring, I don't like the word balance. I like the word harmony. We got to bring some harmony to this message. We can't tell people to push through without teaching them like psychologically and mentally and emotionally what I'm actually doing behind the scenes to help me to do that. Because the reality is I don't wake up and just say, well, I feel like shit. I have the worst migraine in the world. Oh, well, I'm tough and I'm strong, so I'm going to do it. I don't work through migraines. If I have a migraine, I am going to go lay in bed with the lights out, put some essential oils on. My girlfriend takes real good care of me. She like get me a hot rag with essential oil. I'm like, babe, I think I need the hot rag. She's like, okay, I got you. Puts a hot rag on me, essential oils, and I sleep it off. And then, yeah, I sleep it off. And then sometimes I wake up and feel much better and I get back to work. Other times I don't. And so what I want to help you do is to understand like what I do and specifically what I did the first couple of years to work through some of these fears and some of these emotions so that I could move forward without 150 pounds of baggage on my back. Because sometimes that's what it feels like. How many of you have experienced that in your business? Like it feels like I'm literally carrying 150 pounds of fear, guilt, shame, worry, all of these things. And it's like, if we could just take 5 minutes to just put all the baggage down, then we could just run forward instead of like basically crawling around. So this is how I did it. I always ask myself, and I try to do this with any major decision I'm facing in life. What do I have to lose versus what do I have to gain? And I want to take a minute and kind of discuss this with everybody. I want to kind of like give you guys a chance. I want to have like an interactive workshop, if that's okay. I want to know, when it comes to this business, what are some of the things that you guys really, really, really want to gain? And here's what I want to challenge you to do. I want you to imagine your life 5 years from now, okay? 5 years out. What would be the most perfect life that you could possibly have? In other words, if this business is everything Bailey said it is, if it's everything I said it is, if it's everything Carl said it is, and you can grow progressively for the next 5 years and have the kind of life you really, 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 really want to have, what would that life look like? Who wants to volunteer to chat about that a little bit and tell me about your dreams?
I'll let someone on here do it because I feel like
Come
I'm
on.
so.
I'll start calling people out. It doesn't bother me. I will just unmute you and then you'll be on the spot. Someone here is an icebreaker. Oh, I see a hand. I see a hand on JJ Star's screen. I don't know if that's JJ Star or
All right, great.
Yeah, it's Heather and all of them are together. So they're like
the whole crew. Come on up to the camera. Let's chat. Tell me about it.
I'm Brittany. In 5 years, I'll be 40.
Okay.
I hope to have another child,
Mm-hmm.
a piece of land, 3 to 5 acres, and
Beautiful.
less debt, of course, as we all do. But just waking up every morning happy, motivated, inspired, whether people are with me or not, just happy in my own skin with my family.
I love that. happy in my own skin, motivated. I love that. You said, you said wake up every day. And then you went on to talk about being happy in your own skin, happy with your family, motivated. And I love the fact that you said wake up every day, and because that tells me that as of right now, you don't wake up every day motivated and happy in your own skin and all of these things. And so to me, the term every day is just such an important thing, because like for me, when I was detailing cars, I was like, I just want to wake up every day and be excited about the thing that I get to do with my day, versus waking up every morning and being like, okay, 20 cups of coffee, here we go. Let's go do this again and pray to God Friday gets here fast. So to me, like the thing that you say you want to have every day is such an amazing thing, because like really, like that's the thing we get to wake up to and experience over and over and over. And I love that you, Brittany, right?
Right.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Love it. I started this business when I was 30. I'm 37 now. And that was kind of like my hope, was what I could accomplish 5 years from now. And I think that too many times it's like what we're trying to get right this second or right now or next month, which we do need to have that in mind. We need to know what we're working toward this month. But the reality is, man, Brittany, 5 years from now, you said you're going to be 40. Imagine this. Imagine from 40 for the rest of your life, however long that is, getting to wake up happy. That's badass. Most people don't get that till they're 70. And that's only if they were smart with their retirement plan, which, I mean, these days, most people aren't, because jobs no longer really take care of people like they used to. So like 10% of people when they're 70 get to be happy. Imagine having that at 40. That's fucking awesome. Okay, who else wants to chat about where you want to be? Thank you, Brittany. I appreciate it. Who else wants to go? Oh, I see a hand. Candace?
Hello.
Hi, friend.
Hi. So with me, it's going to be owning a house is kind of the biggest thing. Tired of renting and spending my money on rent.
Totally.
I really just want to be like financially free to be able to do whatever I want. At this point, I kind of have 2 companies going, so just kind of keep that going. I do another side business with my boyfriend.
Cool.
Owning a disc golf company.
Nice.
And so just continue doing that and just trying to keep everything afloat and own a car that's maybe not a piece of shit that breaks down and where my heater goes out on every car I've ever owned. So maybe just have a nice car.
Yeah.
And maybe grow a family possibly in the future.
Okay. I love it.
And then just to be happy in my own skin.
That's that. I feel like
wear a bikini and be happy in it.
Love that. Love that. That's some really cool stuff. Owning a house is it's such a beautiful feeling to wake up and say, I can paint you green if I want to. I don't want to, but whatever. Yeah. And then also just knowing like this is the place I get to make my forever memories. And maybe one day I'll pass this off to somebody. Maybe, you know what I mean? Like maybe this will be the place that we have family over for Christmas. Like that's why we actually, when we built this house, we paid extra money to have the dining room extended and the living room extended, because we were like, we just want to have all the family over every single holiday, every special occasion. And we just want all of the living space in the world. Cause like these days, if you build a new house, they don't even have dining rooms. I'm like, what are people doing? Do people not have company anymore at all? They're like, yeah, people just eat on the couch. I'm like, yeah, we have our whole family over. It's like 30 people. Can 30 people really just eat on the couch? So like, you know, it's a beautiful thing to be able to get the thing that like to me, like getting the place you want to make your memories is one of the most significant things you can have in life. Cause like, and I love traveling. Like I love traveling, but the reality is I wake up here every day. So like wherever you wake up every day, like make it a magical place.
Right.
I love that. Thanks for sharing, Candace. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Let's get at least one more person. I see another hand go up. Did I see Paris's hand go up, or is she just putting food in her mouth?
Both. I'll go.
All right, cool.
In 5 years, I will be 32.
Okay.
Sorry, hard math there, huh? And I would also like to own a house that's big enough for, I kind of agree with you. I'm big on family.
Mm-hmm.
And why would you not have a dining room?
Right.
I agree with that. I would also just like to have less worries, like not have to worry about money.
Yeah, I like
being
that.
able to say yes to what me or my family wants without worrying about it. That would be my biggest thing. And paying off student loans is big for me. Right now, I feel like I'm stuck in an idea where they're just always going to be there until like forever, just because they're so large. But being able to confidently say that I will be able to knock that off my list would be nice.
Love that. Love that. What are you going to do with all that extra money when you don't owe it all to the government for student loans?
Probably, invest it for my children and my family and set them up for success so that maybe they don't have to have those worries and stressors later in life.
Love it. Invest for my kids and set them up for success. For those of you that have, how many people have kids, just to get kind of like a feel? Whoops, what happened there? I don't want to be that big on my screen. Who did that?
I spotlighted you.
Like, what just happened? My face just blew up. I have like a 27-inch iMac, so my face just got really fucking big. How many people have kids? Raise your hand, just so I kind of have an idea. Okay, so we're like kind of like 50-50 on this call. Cool. He says too many. I also have 4. It sometimes does feel like too many. I love them all, but sometimes it does. So how many of you have a little bit clearer of a picture, like written down at least, of like 5 years from now, what you could potentially have if everything went right? How does that make you feel? How many of you can say, I have a man child. How many of you can say, like, if that were the reality that I really could have that life, like that's worth some time. It's worth some energy. It's worth some patience. Can you show me some jazzies? You all know my jazzies, right? Everybody knows about jazzies. Okay. Paris said, like, I can breathe. How good does that feel? Like I wish that I could let you guys come live inside my brain for a day and know what it feels like to wake up every single morning as your own boss, but also having time freedom and money freedom. I can't even tell you, like, I did not know. So for those of you that have kids, you know what it feels like when grandma offers to watch the kids for the night and you go out and like out of nowhere, you're like, what is this section of my brain I'm experiencing right now? Usually there's a whole cloud in the back of your head that's like, is somebody hurting? Did I hear a noise? Is anybody in pain? Is someone like, in other words, there's like a part of your brain that literally never stops thinking about the safety and security of your children. In the second they're with grandma and you're on a date night, you almost can't believe how much extra energy and space you have in your brain just because you're not thinking or worrying about that. So for me, when I started making enough money that I didn't have to think about who I had to pay or what I had to pay, it was the equivalent of like having a babysitter, but ongoing. Obviously, I still have kids, so I still have that one going on in the back of my head. But I did not realize, as much as you think about your kids when you struggle with money, there's a whole nother thing in your brain. It's like a tumor almost that just sits there and thinks about, but how are we going to pay for that? Kid says, oh, I got invited to a birthday party. Shit, how are we going to pay for their presents? Someone else says, hey, spring break's coming up. And we're going, oh, shit, spring break means we're supposed to go somewhere, but we don't have the money to go. And literally, it's just like thinking about your kids. There's this money gerbil wheel just spinning all the time that just exhausts you. And when that's gone, I will say the biggest blessing is not even what you're able to do with your money. It's what you don't have to think about all the time anymore, because it's no longer a gerbil wheel in your head. And it's ridiculous. And so that's why, like, yeah, Paris is like, I can like breathe thinking about like 5 years from now. Like it's like your body almost knows how much more peaceful and how relaxed you would be if that could be your life versus this. Does that make sense? So now here's what I want to ask. Okay. What do we actually, so that's what we have to gain. And I don't want to like throw out a 100% guaranteed kind of a thing, because the reality is nothing's guaranteed, right? You go into a new relationship, it could be the man of your dreams, or it could be a big fucking asshole. Only time will tell. Like, we don't know. But let's look at, what do we have to lose? Like, what do we actually have to lose? And I want to make a list of things, because there are some things. What do we actually have to lose? Okay. Can you put some answers in the chat thread for me? I think Bailey had to pee. Either that or her man-child was needed and taken care of. Heat says time, relationships, our home. Heat is can you tell me what is the home that you're going to lose because of this business?
No, not because of this business. We're just discussing, like, some of us are all in, some of us are half in, some of us are, like, you know, just doing this to see where it could take us. And
oh, I lost you.
Those are
come back.
just things that come up. Like, if we do go, I don't know why.
Oh,
is it back?
Yeah, you're back. You're back.
I think I'm online. Yeah, sorry, we're on way too many devices.
This is what it's going to be like when COVID is gone and we all get to be together again. Glitching.
Now I'm confused about which camera to even, like, which square do I look at here?
Us too.
I'm just like going back and forth, because I can see the close up of you, but then it looks like you're looking at this other one over here.
We're good now, I think.
Okay.
Like, it's scary to think of. I don't know why it's doing this still. Do you have it on?
You're fine, Heather. I would just talk.
Oh, okay. I was like, I don't know what's going on. So, just like what is all this time that we're spending doing these things that are going to move our business forward? It's just like those little doubts in the back of your mind about, like, I mentioned earlier, like, I was literally just this morning venting to JJ and Bailey about, like, am I a good enough leader to lead other leaders? Like, am I a good enough leader to balance being a mom and, you know, like, working my business starting at 4:00 in the morning? Like, I am getting rid of the negative thoughts, but I'm like, shit, I got a lot further I gotta go. So,
but for a second, let's not let our limiting beliefs be a part of this equation. And we can address that. We can totally address that. But for right now, what we're doing is we're just doing a math equation. Because if we let our emotions in, we start to distort the math equation.
Yeah.
And for right now, I just want to make it this simple. What can we gain? What can we lose? So what are the things that you could lose?
The money that I am making, I guess.
Okay. I mean, will you lose it just by doing Beachbody, or will you lose it if you eventually decide to quit?
If I quit.
But you don't have to quit. You don't have to quit.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you can decide to work this job for the rest of your life if you want to and do Beachbody. It's just that if Beachbody starts making twice the amount of money, you probably won't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like my girl Megan Geese started making 4 times the amount of money she was making as a teacher, and finally she was like, okay, I think it's safe to quit now because I'm making like $8,000 a month. So in like 5, and the reality is she can always go get another teaching job.
Right.
Teaching jobs are going to be around. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? Like most of the day jobs that we all have, if we were to quit, go all in on our business and something happens, our business falls apart, we can go get another day job.
Yeah.
Unless you're one of those people that has one of those ridiculous jobs that is like the luckiest job anyone could ever have, in which case you probably wouldn't even be messing around with Beachbody right now. If you're making $150,000 on salary and have stock options and 401k and health and all this insurance, like if you have that job, you're probably not even looking into Beachbody.
Yeah, exactly. So like actually like a stay-at-home mom, so I don't have another option. I'm investing my time and my quality moments.
Yeah. So yeah.
But I guess
so those are the things we have to lose is time and quality moments. Yeah. That's what you're actually sacrificing along the way, that if for some reason this doesn't work out, you'll look back and say, damn it, I lost like 2 years of time and quality moments. So like that's the risk. That's what we're putting out on the poker table as like our bet, hoping to get what we really want. We're sacrificing some time and quality moments.
Yeah.
Which is important, which is why I do this equation, because I want to look at it and make sure that after I look at this equation, this investment still makes sense. Because if it doesn't, then I shouldn't make it. That's just like the reality. If an investment doesn't make sense, don't go throw all your money into it just because somebody said so. You know what I'm saying? Like if you can't logically see that Bitcoin is worth your money, don't throw all your money at it. Like that's what we were up till 3 a.m. talking about last night. My buddy is all about that Bitcoin. Now for him, he turned $30,000 into $100,000. So I'm like, I will listen. I've never listened to anyone about Bitcoin, but now you have my attention. But I'm still going to make a logical decision about whether it's worth my money. Just because it's worth his money doesn't mean it's worth my money. I have to weigh that out for myself. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what else? What do we let's look over here. Time with kids, sanity, sleep, any money invested if we don't make this work. Okay. Anybody else have other things that we can lose?
I'd say like I put in there, not
Mental
saying like
health?
I would lose my relationship, but unhappiness.
Yeah. Okay.
Like things that don't make you happy.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, I could lose my man child and maybe I'd be happier. Like, I don't know, you know, like that might be something weighing you down that you don't even fucking realize. And then like a week later, like, God, I feel so much better because I just lost something, but like that thing wasn't even making me 100% happy.
Right. Right.
So,
but yeah, the reality is if you don't handle things properly, relationships could happen. Now, let me ask you this, guys. Here's the thing that I want to ask you about though. If Beachbody does not work out, what are the odds of you getting that life that you really, really, really want 5 years from now? Scale of 1 to 10. How confident are you that there is another way to get what you want? Jordan says a 1. Show me some numbers over here. Oh, sorry, Bay. Yeah, Bay's like, I'm just going to get it no matter what. Paris says depends on Caleb's job, meaning we don't really know. On a scale of 1 to 10, what are the chances without Beachbody that you can still get the life you really have dreamed of 5 years from now? without Beachbody. Did I say that right? Does everybody understand what I'm saying? In other words, if you decide to quit Beachbody altogether and just keep living the life that you had without Beachbody, what are the chances of you getting that dream life that you really want? Shelby says a 5, but I would have to work and miss out on family events and living the life I want.
I'm still a 10.
Yeah, I mean, Bailey's pretty determined. She's going to get her dream life no matter what. Nobody's going to fucking
Like,
stop her.
I'll just create an OnlyFans and I'll make my fucking money that way. Like, I don't know. I'm not working again, so.
So for me, guys, like I was detailing cars, and the reality is there was no more raises or promotions to get. So for me, if I didn't go all in on my business, like that was the life I was going to have for the rest of my life. For the rest of my life, I was going to struggle to pay for anything. I was going to spend all year waiting for the next tax return. And maybe you don't have my situation, and that's okay. But these are the things we have to think about. Okay. And then here's what I also want you to do. I see a lot of people saying that they're giving up time and energy and memories with their family. Can I address that for a second? Can I address that? Because here's what I feel like. I do feel like sometimes we think we're giving up a lot of time and energy with our family. And that makes me worry about how you're doing this business and how you have it structured. Because for me personally, when I started doing my side hustle, doing this business, I set aside 2 hours a day for my side hustle. And then I set aside 2 to 3 hours of intentional time to spend with my kids. I actually became a more intentional dad than I'd ever been and spent more quality time. Do you know what I think a lot of us do? I think a lot of us sit around watching TV together and assume that that's quality time. And then when we work a Beachbody business, a couple hours out of the day, we're like, oh my God, I'm giving up all of these memories with my family. And the reality is you just weren't around for that one TV show that everybody usually watches together. But if you were intentional about it, you went and spent 2 or 3 hours of quality time with your kids and with your family. If you're on this call and you're like, yo, I'm missing out on family memories because I work 4 to 6 hours a night on my Beachbody business and I don't watch any shows with my kids, I don't spend any time with my husband, you're doing this business wrong. That's not the right way to do this business. The right way to do this business is to know, again, this is an investment with risk, which means I shouldn't give it everything, but I do need to give it enough to have a chance to grow, and it needs to be very focused and intentional time. Does that make sense? I want everyone to write down those 2 words: focused and intentional. Focused and intentional. Now, here's the way I see it. I want to just explain to you how I looked at this equation, okay? 5 years from now, I have the ability to potentially, and no one can guarantee it, okay, have my dream life for the rest of my life, okay? And the real investment, I want you to think about this for a second. The real investment is me being willing to sacrifice 2 hours per day of my recreation time. Not my family's, my recreation time. In other words, I wasn't like, sorry kids, I can't play with you. I'm going to be working my business all night. I was like, hey Josh, normally you'd sneak away and watch a couple episodes of Vikings. And instead of watching a couple episodes of Vikings in your room by yourself, you're going to go work on your business. And you're going to tell your kids, and this is what I did with my kids. I said, hey kids, for these 2 hours, I will be in my office working. And they say, Daddy, no, don't go to your office. We want you to be around. And that's where the dad guilt comes in. And you're like, oh my God, I'm giving up memories with my kids. And I would say, hey kids, can I ask you something? Do you want to have a bigger allowance? They'd say, yes, I do. I'd say, do you want to be able to go to Disney World? They say, yeah, we do. Then daddy needs to go work for 2 hours. But when I come out of my office, we're going to have playtime. We're going to go in the backyard and we're going to play catch, baseball, whatever it is we do until basically the three of you get in a fight and start killing each other. We're going to go do that for a couple hours. And what happened is I was training myself and them to realize if we make this small sacrifice, we can have these other things in life that we really, really, really want. So what's more important? Having daddy sitting on the couch while you watch TV, or being able to go travel with daddy, being able to go to Target and have money to just buy whatever you want. So I think that a lot of times we think we're sacrificing time and energy with our family. And the reality is, again, if we do it right, we're not sacrificing time with family. We're giving our family more time because we became more intentional. Now, if you're one of those people that spends 16 hours a day face to face with your children, putting together puzzles, coloring pictures, teaching them how to, I don't know, play patty cake. If you spend 16 intentional hours a day with your children, then yes, you are going to have to sacrifice some time with your kids. But is there anyone on this call that spends 16 hours of intentional time with their kids? If you do, you're fucking crazy. And I don't even want to talk to you. Anyone who can do that, you're one of those weird people. And I think there are a couple of them out there. Okay. A couple of them out there. They're like, oh yeah, look over here on the wall. We have a schedule of everything me and my children do together from the time we wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning till the time we go to bed together at 8 o'clock p.m. And we never leave each other's side. And I don't let them use iPads or iPhones or TVs. We just read books. And we all know how to play 7 instruments. And we all know how to speak 13 languages. If you're one of those crazy people, this probably is not the right business opportunity for you. But the reality is, most of us, you know what most of us do? I'm just going to speak for myself. Before I started this business, come home from work, tired, exhausted. Daddy, play with us, play with us, play with us. No, I'm tired. I'm going to sit down, hit this remote, turn on the TV, and watch my favorite TV shows for 3 or 4 hours. And at some point, my kids would guilt me into going and playing with them for 30 minutes to an hour. And the reality is that 30 minutes to an hour was the only quality time I spent with my kids in the entire day. And yet, while I was building my business, do you know what my fears were saying? You're giving up time with your kids. You're giving up memories with your kids because your brain is always distorting everything to try to get you to come back to the place of safety. So there's a quote that I have in my book. It says, our limiting beliefs are constantly looking for a story to justify our fears and excuses. So if you're afraid this might not work, instead of dealing with that fear, what you usually do is make up a story that makes you feel a lot better about quitting. And then here's what we do. We use our story. This is almost hilarious to me. We use our story to give ourselves moral high ground. In other words, we'll say things like, well, I quit Beachbody because it was taking me away from my family, and I'm just not the kind of mom that's going to do that. In other words, I'm a better mom than anyone who chose not to quit because I'm spending time with my kids. But are you really? Did you really quit your Beachbody business and go plan 2 to 3 hours of extra activities a day with your kids? Does anybody actually do that? I've never once heard of a single person who quit Beachbody and then was like, well, now that I have an extra 2 hours, we're going to have 2 extra hours of playtime every single day. That's bullshit. No, you didn't. You just went back to watching more Netflix. And what I'm trying to beat into people's brain is when the fuck are we going to grow up and just admit Either I'm willing to give up 2 hours a day to work a side hustle and create a better life for my family, or I'm going to watch more fucking Netflix. And the reality is, if you choose to just watch more fucking Netflix, cool. I'm not against you. I don't have a problem with you. Just say what it is and stop pretending that you're a better parent than other people. Stop pretending that you somehow like made a better life for your family, and just say, I just fucking want to watch Netflix. But nobody will say that. I've never heard one single person say, I'm quitting my side hustle because I really want to watch more Netflix. No one's ever said that. So that's why I played Would You Rather with myself day after day after day. Would you rather watch more Netflix for the rest of your life, but be broke, never have money for vacation, never be able to travel, never have nice cars? I can definitely relate to that. I always had shitty cars my entire life. Never have nice cars, never have a nice house. And basically, I'm gonna give you the one that like really put the exclamation mark on it for me. Pass this thinking and lifestyle off to my kids. I realized that if I just sit around and am poor and broke for the rest of my life, my kids are going to think that that's all they can do. And at some point, I have to either face my demons or hand them off to my children. And for me, I'm just not going to do that. So I said, okay, what I have to lose, which is, yes, 2 to 3 hours per day. What I have to lose is facing some fears and insecurities, which is like, yeah, that's like some extra work that I got to deal with every single day, right? Just like working out. Like if I'm going to work out, I got to deal with some emotional shit on a daily basis for a little while, right? But I'm willing to give up those things if it can create the best life in the world for my kids, for my significant other, for future generations. Like my kids don't really talk about what they want to be when they grow up the way normal people do. They talk about like what kind of business they think they want to start. Like my 12-year-old cracks me up just all the time. Like, I think I'm going to start a business. She's going to make a lot of money one day. She's like, I'm just going to go around collecting everyone's old iPhones and sell them on Amazon. Like just constantly just like thinking of ideas. And the reality is, I don't know if my kids will ever have jobs other than like teenage jobs that I'm going to make them have, because I want them to. I think everyone should work in the service industry for 2 or 3 years so that you know how to treat people properly when you go eat out, when you do things like that. Like if you've never worked in the service industry, like you just don't even understand what people are going through, right? Like I go into a restaurant, I'm like, this person probably just got shit on by 100 people. I'm going to try to be nice to them. I'm going to tip them well. I'm going to try to be the one nice customer they had today. So yeah, they're going to have some teenage jobs so they can learn work ethic. But then it's going to be like, what kind of a business do you want to start? And I want to have the money to be able to give them their first business loan and give them the guidance that they need to make this thing work. And so when you really boil it down, it's like, would you rather? I know I'm like really leaning into Netflix here. Maybe it's HBO Max for you or Hulu or Prime. I don't know. But would you rather Netflix for the rest of your life or sacrifice some of your Netflix to create the best life in the world? Doesn't mean you can't watch Netflix. I still watched Netflix. I just did my business first. And then I spent time with my kids. And then what I had left over at the end of the night was my me time, where I got to decide, okay, Josh, do you want to stay up late watching Netflix and lose a little sleep? And if so, go ahead. And I would do that a couple times a week. A couple times a week, I would stay up watching Vikings. And then the next morning I'd be like, shit, I'm so tired. I'm never going to do that again. It's kind of like, it's kind of like drinking too much. You always say you're never going to do it again, but you always do it again, So a couple times a week I'd end up staying up too late watching Vikings, but that was my choice. My choice was to give up a little of my sleep, not to give up my future. Does that make sense? Bailey, do you want to add to that?
No, like you literally mic drop it every time. But I really like I'll tell you I do watch my shows every week, but I always get my business done first. Like I'm never sitting and watching Netflix like, fuck, I didn't even invite today. Like you should never be doing something luxurious and have that feeling inside of your head and like that little voice in the back of your head saying, bitch, you didn't get your stuff done today. Like, what are you doing? Why are you sitting here? You should be able to like unplug. And that's exactly what Josh has on our fucking tracker for Push to Elite is like unplug, but make sure that you don't have those voices telling you like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like you should be able to unplug intentionally without having like those burdens, because once like you're relaxing and you get in that habit of like sending your follow-ups, for example, you did like your one power pocket. Well, now you get to like sit back, relax. You're going to get in that habit to the point where power hours and business feels like a burden because all you want to do is relax.
Yeah.
So that's exactly why like we preach, have a schedule, like have your business hours set and don't be all over the place, because once you're not all over the place, you'll be able to hang out with your kids. Like,
and it feels good.
Yeah.
It feels good to be like, you know what? I got my business shit done. And now I'm just going to go goof off and play. Like I'm actually going to go spend time with my kids with a clear brain versus playing with your kids and think, oh my God, do I have another story that I needed to make? Was there more invites that I needed to send? Like, and what you end up doing is, I think that's again, why we think it's costing us time and energy with our families, because we just didn't do it right. Get your shit done, check it off, and then like close your computer, put away your phone and just go say, okay, now I'm going to go be a girlfriend or a wife or a mom or whatever the hell, or a friend or cat mom, dog mom, whatever the hell it is that's important to you, go be that person. Can we talk about leadership for a second though?
Yes, please.
Because there's some leadership stuff that came up earlier that I really want to address. Okay. This is what was said. Am I good enough of a leader to lead other leaders? Can I ask everyone on this call to answer in the chat, what is it about yourself that makes you think I'm not a good leader? I don't know what he's saying over there, but she's talking some shit. Juggling too many things. Okay. Give me more. Letting people down. Too intense for others. Nobody's too intense for me. I know I'm not as consistent as I should be. Still working on myself. Saying yes to everyone when I know sometimes I should say no. I'm shy and try to do too much at the same time. Now, I want to teach you a really important, really important distinguishing factor. I said, why do you think you are not enough to be a leader? That's an internal question of who you are at your core, meaning your worth as a human being. And everyone started to explain why you're not good enough of a leader with things you either do or don't do. In other words, I asked you about the heart and core of who you are. What about you? And you described that. Can you do me a huge favor? Don't send me direct messages, because then it automatically sets my response to direct. So I have to go change it to everyone. So just keep it in everyone if you could. I appreciate that. Thank you, friend. But this is what our problem is. We all are human. Can we agree to that? Can we all agree that we are human? Can we agree that all of us are flawed? Can we just go ahead and agree that if we were to come into Josh's space, we could find something wrong with Josh? Correct? Josh is still human. There's going to be some shit. You're going to find some shit, okay? I'm human. You're going to get inside my head and be like, oh, he's fucked up too. So why is it that we can all agree that all humans are fucked up? Like, that's just a reality. We're human. We're not God. We're not perfect. We're human. If we're all fucked up, how come your, what's the word I'm looking for? Your shortcomings mean more than others? Do you get what I'm saying there? If we're all fucked up, how come I'm fucked up, but my fucked up's okay? Well, Josh is fucked up, but it's a less fucked up version of it's less fucked up than me. So it's okay if he leads leaders. Do you get what I'm saying? Every single person you look up to, Bailey, Carrie in your upline, anyone else that you look up to, I don't know if you look up to a Micah or a Melanie or a Ashley or a whoever the fuck, every single one of them, just as flawed as you. And every single one of them were at some point sitting in the same seat you are right now, where they didn't have a ton of evidence that they were a good leader. They didn't have a whole bunch of people on their team. They weren't making a shit ton of money. They were just normal people sitting on a call like this. The only difference between the people who end up leading leaders and the people who don't are the people who are just willing to say, if we're all fucked up, then let's just help as many people as we can. And just keep it that simple. When I went through John Maxwell's certification program, everybody knows who John Maxwell is, right? Mostly. He's authored over 80 books. He's a New York Times bestseller, and he is basically recognized as the greatest leader on the planet. Okay, he's literally been voted by Inc. magazine like 10 years in a row as the top leader in the world. Okay, that's who I did my certification program through. Okay, something I loved about John Maxwell was when you sign up to be in the certification, this is what he said. He said, do not wait until you're certified to start coaching people. Take everything you learn and just go start practicing. Practice with your friends, practice with your family. If you meet somebody in the coffee shop, anything that we're teaching you, just go ahead and start practicing it. And because of that, do you know that I was making $10,000 a month before I ever became a certified life coach? Because I couldn't afford my monthly payments. And so I wasn't getting it paid off. You had to pay a certain amount of money. It's just like school. You got to pay a certain amount of money to get certified. And because I followed, now here's what's crazy, guys. I showed up at the first live. They held these kind of graduations once every 6 months. Okay. I missed the first one that I was supposed to go to, missed the second one that I was supposed to go to, missed the third one that I was supposed to go to. And in between the third one and the fourth one, my business blew up and took off. I showed up at the certification and I'm talking to all of these people. And I start kind of telling my story and how my business has grown. And people are like, wait, what? You're making how much money doing this? And then they started to ask me all these questions like, well, what are you doing? Where do you find these people? Where do you talk to them? What is it you do when they want to sign up? How do you, and they just started asking me 30 million questions of how. And I realized the difference between me and everyone else in that room was I just did whatever the fuck J Max told me to do. And them, instead of doing, sat around wondering, what would that be like?
Yeah, but if I do go talk to someone in the coffee shop, what happens if they have this question? In other words, they sat around thinking about everything instead of doing everything. I didn't give myself any room. If John Maxwell was the greatest leader in the world, and John Maxwell said, go talk to people in the coffee shop, I went and talked to people in the coffee shop. If he said, practice on people at work, I practiced on people at work. If he said, oh, okay, now I want you to go ask 2 people every single day if they would like to have a coaching consultation, I went and asked 2 people every single day. In other words, when we look at the leaders we love and respect, they are just people who took action while we thought about it. Because if you take enough action, here's what I've found. You end up learning 2 to 3 times faster than everybody else. Because learning really only happens in the process of action. You can't learn how to ride a bike thinking about it, wondering about it, worrying about it. You can only ride a bike when you jump on the motherfucker and go for it. I learned how to snowboard on a sled the other day because we went sledding and I saw someone else with a snowboard and I was like, man, I wish I had a fucking snowboard. See what I did? I pulled out my sled and I stood on my sled and I fell 10 or 15 times. But because I was actually doing it, eventually your body starts to adjust and you start to realize, okay, if I lean this way, if I lean that way, if I lean this way, that's the only way to learn anything, is to jump in head first, let it be messy, let it suck. Okay? I gave myself permission. I think this is really important. I gave myself permission to suck. Said, I'm willing to say, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to do it, but I respect this person enough to trust that if I want to get from where I am to where he is, I just need to do what he's done to get there. And so here's what I want to challenge you to do. Don't wait to help people until you're the perfect leader, or you will never help anybody. But if you will just be determined to say, I care enough about humans. I don't care how fucked up I am. I'm willing to give whatever I do have to give. Does that make sense? I'm just going to give what I do have to give. Is that enough for them? Well, if it's anything better than what they have right now, isn't that a plus? If it's anything better than what they have, isn't that a plus? I don't need to be a good leader. That's why I wrote a book called Fuck Leadership. I don't need to be a good leader. I just need to be someone who is willing to help people. That's it. And in the process, I will learn more and more and more and more about how to help more people. And then people will start to call me a good leader because I helped a bunch of people. But the reality is, what the fuck does that even mean, a good leader? What does that mean? None of us know what the fuck that means. It's a made up word. When we call someone a leader, all we're really doing is recognizing this is a person who is willing to take action when other people weren't. That's it. So don't spend all of your time worrying about if you're good enough of a leader. Remember, a leader is just someone who took more action than other people. So if you're like, man, I'm not a good leader, all that means is you just chose not to take action. So instead, choose to take action and you will be a good leader. Okay? All right. That's all I got. I just wanted to hit that up at the end, Bay.
Thank you. I really appreciate your time. Do you guys have any questions that you want to ask? Might have like maybe 5 minutes. Our next training isn't until 1:30 Eastern. So
cool. You guys can have a little lunch break?
Yeah, we'll probably take a little break again.
You guys